Okay, let's get into this. Today we're doing a deep dive on a piece of tech that's, well, already a ghost. The Kramer KWC-1-B wireless charging spot.
Right.
Our mission isn't just to read off old specs. We're going to use this discontinued product to see what it tells us about corporate tech trends from, its time.
And what's so interesting is the type of solution this was. This wasn't just some charging pad.
No.
This was built-in, table-mounted infrastructure. Kramer called it an elegant solution, and the first thing you see on the product page is that crucial warning: discontinued.
Left up for reference only.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. They backed it with a 7-year warranty. 7 years.
Wow.
That tells you they were aiming for permanent, heavy-duty corporate installations, not some gadget you'd replace in a year.
That idea of permanence is where it gets really interesting and maybe a little painful. They called it an elegant in-table solution. But that elegance came at a cost, a physical one. You had to cut a hole in your conference table.
A pretty big one, too.
A huge one. We're talking 4.17 to 4.25 inches.
Yeah.
Or 106 to 108 millimeters. That is a tiny margin of error for a facilities manager.
And not just the width. The table couldn't be thicker than 3 inches, so 76 millimeters. This wasn't flexible. It was a fixture.
Right.
So that brings up the big question. With that kind of physical lock-in, were they also trapping you in their own proprietary tech?
See, that's where they were smart. They didn't.
No, they didn't. They went with the cheese standard.
Which was the right call.
Absolutely essential for a long-term commercial product. But you have to remember the context of the time. If your phone didn't have wireless charging built in,
Which many didn't.
you had to buy a separate charging dongle. So that built-in convenience still had an asterisk.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the power. What was this thing actually drawing from the wall?
Well, not the wall directly.
Right.
The spec is 12 volts DC at 1.25 amps.
Okay.
And that 12-volt figure is key. It tells you this isn't simple USB plug-and-play.
It needed its own dedicated wiring under the table. More infrastructure.
A lot more. And all that investment led to a, let's call it a modest performance output.
So what was the charging power?
Maximum output was 900 milliamps. Max.
900 milliamp.
Yeah. At the time, it was, let's say, acceptable, but fast chargers were already pushing well past 1,500, even 2,000 milliamp.
So why so low?
It's all about the trade-offs. You couple that 900 milliamp figure with a charging efficiency of 73%, and you can see their priorities.
Okay.
They were choosing thermal stability, fire safety, and that clean aesthetic over raw charging speed. It was a very conscious corporate decision in an office. Convenience beats performance.
And they were definitely playing by the corporate rule book. I thought it was listed as TAA compliant.
Right, which for anyone listening means it met the Trade Agreements Act standard.
Being fully compliant for use in, say, U.S. government contracts.
Precisely. Another piece of evidence that they engineered for high stakes, stable environments first. Performance was secondary.
So let's pull back for a second. We've looked at this one product, the KWC-1-B, and it feels like a time capsule.
It really does.
It shows a moment when corporations were willing to invest in permanent infrastructure for an integrated look. They cut a hole in the table, run 12-volt lines.
But that very decision, that permanence, locked them into a performance ceiling. In this case, 900 NOA.
Right. The elegance came at the cost of agility.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see Kramer also had things like the TBUS-1 KWC table connection bus, all meant to integrate everything seamlessly. Which leaves us with a final thought, a question really for you to consider. We see how fast charging standards and device power needs are changing.
Faster every year.
So when you have these robust, well-warranted products that are physically built into your office, what is the real long-term cost of that convenience? At what point does that permanent integrated design become a liability instead of an asset?